Think back to your childhood. Picture a book about a friendly family of bears. How do you spell their name? Berenstein or Berenstein? Now, think of the most famous line from Star Wars, The Empire Strikes Back. Is it, "Luke, I am your father," or simply, "I am your father"? If you answered with the first option in both cases, you're not alone. Millions of people share these exact memories. But they are all, according to the record, incorrect. There was no Berenstein Bears. It has always been Berenstein. And Darth Vader never said Luke. This is the Mandela Effect, a phenomenon where a large group of people collectively misremember a specific detail or event. It's a glitch in our shared history, a crack in the mirror of memory. For years, these were isolated quirks, dismissed as simple mistakes. But in the age of the internet, they found a place to connect, to grow, and to evolve into one of the most compelling and persistent digital mysteries. Welcome back to Vanishing Threads. Today we're logging into the strange world of the Mandela Effect. We'll trace its origins from a single conversation to a global internet phenomenon. We'll examine the most famous cases, from movie lines to brand logos. But then, we'll ask a more critical question. Is this evidence of parallel universes, as some believers claim? Or is it a profound lesson in the fallibility of human memory, amplified and catalogued by the very technology we use to remember? To understand this digital legend, we have to go back to its analog beginning in 2009. The term was coined by a self-described paranormal consultant named Fiona Broome. At a science fiction convention, DragonCon, she discovered that she and many others shared a vivid, detailed, yet false memory. That the South African activist and leader Nelson Mandela had died in prison in the 1980s. People remembered seeing news clips, even a televised funeral. Of course, this never happened. Nelson Mandela was released from prison in 1990 and lived until 2013. But the conviction of those who remembered his earlier death was unshakable. Broome was fascinated. She created a website to document this specific memory and others like it. She called it the Mandela Effect. For a short time, it was a niche curiosity, but then it hit the internet. And the internet did what it does best. It connected the dots. Suddenly, thousands, then millions of people found each other in forums, on blogs, and eventually on a dedicated subreddit, r Mandela Effect. They weren't just misremembering one thing, they were misremembering the same things in the same way. The website Broome created became a hub, a digital meeting place for people who felt like they had slipped into a slightly different timeline. The internet didn't just host the conversation, it became the evidence locker. Every new example was logged, debated, and disseminated at the speed of a share button. The Mandela Effect had gone viral. Let's look at some of the most classic examples that fueled its rise. These are the cases that turned skeptics into believers, if only for a moment. We've already mentioned the Berenstein Bears. This is perhaps the cornerstone of the Mandela Effect. An entire generation seems to have a collective memory of the Stein spelling. Yet every book cover, every TV show credit reads Stain. Proponents of the effect ask, how can so many people, independently, make the exact same spelling error? Then there's pop culture. The Queen song We Are the Champions is known for its triumphant final line, of the world. But listen to the original recording. The song ends with, no time for losers, 'cause we are the champions. It just stops. The climactic final phrase, which almost everyone can hear in their head, isn't there. In the movie Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, the evil queen says, magic mirror on the wall. Wrong, she says. Mirror, mirror on the wall. A small change, but one that contradicts a line repeated in playgrounds for decades. Even brand logos aren't safe. Many people remember the popular shoe brand as Skechers, with a T. It's always been Skechers. The peanut butter brand is Jif, not Jiffy. The mascot for Monopoly, Rich Uncle Pennybags, is remembered for wearing a monocle. He has never had one. As this list grew online, so did the theories. For many, simple error wasn't enough to explain the consistency and the sheer scale of the phenomenon. The community began to propose more extraordinary explanations. The most popular theory is that of parallel universes. This idea suggests that we are sliding between multiple realities, or that timelines have merged. In one universe, it was the Berenstein Bears and Nelson Mandela did die in the 80s. Those who remember these things aren't wrong. They are simply remembering a reality that no longer exists for them. They are refugees from a different timeline. Another prominent theory points to CERN and the Large Hadron Collider. Some believe that the high-energy particle experiments conducted at CERN could be powerful enough to disrupt space-time, subtly rewriting our reality and causing these small collective memory glitches. These theories are compelling because they are, for the most part, unfalsifiable. They tap into a deep-seated desire for there to be more to the world than what we see. But this is Vanishing Threads. And here, we must apply our standard of factual analysis. What does science say about our memory? This is where we encounter a concept called confabulation. Confabulation is not lying. It's a memory error where the brain fills in gaps in its recollection with fabricated, misinterpreted, or distorted information. Your brain, in its effort to create a coherent narrative, essentially invents details to make a memory make sense. It's an unconscious process. You believe the confabulated memory is true. Then there's source monitoring error. This is when you correctly remember a piece of information, but misattribute its source. You might remember hearing that Mandela died in the 80s, but you're not remembering a real news report. You might be remembering a discussion about his potential death, or confusing it with the death of another activist, like Steve Biko. Your brain files the information correctly, but puts it in the wrong folder. Psychologists also point to the power of suggestion and reinforcement. The internet is a massive echo chamber. Once an idea like the Berenstein Bears is introduced, it gets repeated. You see it on Reddit, you watch a YouTube video about it. Each time you encounter it, a psychological process called retrieval-enhanced learning strengthens that memory, whether it's true or not. The more you're told you remember something a certain way, the more you believe you do. Let's apply this to our examples. The Stein ending for the Berenstein Bears is a common Jewish suffix, making it more familiar and easier for the brain to substitute. The line, "Luke, I am your father," is a more direct and dramatic phrasing than the original, which is why it was likely used in parodies and advertisements, which then overwrote the original memory for many. The final of the world in the Queen song is often sung by crowds at live shows, creating a memory of the song that's different from the studio version. The Mandela Effect is a fascinating case study in the architecture of memory itself. It reveals that memory is not a video recording. It is not a perfect, objective record of the past. It is a creative, reconstructive process. Every time you recall a memory, you are rebuilding it, and it can be subtly altered by new information, by suggestion, by the simple desire for a story to make more sense. The internet didn't create the Mandela Effect, but it gave it a name, a community, and a catalogue. It took a universal human experience, misremembering, and turned it into a shared digital mystery. It allowed us to see the patterns in our collective errors, and in doing so, made them feel like something more than just mistakes. So, what is the final truth of the Mandela Effect? It's not a story about parallel universes, it's a story about us. It shows us that our minds are not infallible machines, but flawed, creative storytellers. It reveals a collective anxiety about the nature of truth in an age where information is both everywhere and nowhere, where facts can feel strangely malleable. The enduring power of the Mandela Effect isn't in proving that our reality has been altered. It's in what our fascination with it says about us. It reveals a deep-seated need to trust our own minds and the profound unease we feel when that trust is shaken. It's a reminder that the most mysterious territory isn't in some far-flung dimension, but right behind our own eyes. Thanks for tuning in, and until next time, stay curious, stay safe.